That is right. You are listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk, and I am your host, Todd Huff. Folks, you can email me your thoughts, opinions, questions, comments. I'll even accept your adoration and praise. It is a pleasure to be with you here this morning, and I appreciate you tuning in. And be advised that listening to this program can, in fact, cause you to lean to the right. So be careful out there as you consume the content of this program, because it can affect your your ability to maintain a straight line. You will veer to the right. So I want to start today with this infrastructure bill that is about to be unveiled by the Obama administration, reportedly with a price tag of $3 to $4 trillion with a T dollars. $3 to $4 trillion price tag on infrastructure. Now, that's a lot of money, number one. Number two, and let's stick with number one for a moment. Infrastructure, $3 to $4 trillion, roads and bridges. I don't know how many. Look, I think this is actually one of the things that government is supposed to be doing. And I think it would be much more palatable to the average person if government would focus on what it's doing, or what it should be doing rather, than all these other things that it's involved in, including, as Biden put last week in that glorious press conference, he says he's trying to create, or promising, a new paradigm, and he wants to change the paradigm to where we start to reward work and not just wealth. Those were President Joe Biden's words. I'm not sure if he remembers those or not, but he did say that. He wants to reward work, not just wealth. A new paradigm is being sought by our government. Do you want, by the way, the government to decide that it's going to reward you for your work? What's the word I want to use here? How, not corrupt, but just how blatantly ridiculous is this viewpoint? That the government exists to reward you and me and whoever else is out there for our work. This is the job, I guess, of the government, to reward us for our work. And people nod at this as though this is some sort of great, profound new understanding as Biden seeks to build back better. Does this sound better to you? The government deciding to reward you for your work? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. In fact, I think that this nation needs to return to its foundational principles on this. I think our nation needs to re-embrace free markets and capitalism. The idea that the government's job is to reward you candidly for anything is not what the founders had intended. If we have gotten to the point where praise and reward from our government is at the top of the list for Americans, we have really screwed things up here, folks. We have really screwed things up. Reward people based upon their work, not their wealth. I'm not in favor of government rewarding people for their wealth either. Whatever Biden means by that. What Biden wants to do, what the Democrats want to do, is create this class warfare. There are fewer people at the upper echelons of wealth than those that are at, the middle or the bottom. There are more people in the middle class than there are in the upper class. And so this is a tactic, this is a tool, this is a ploy to gain support and to use that support to force upon the American people some really radical ideas and concepts, up to and including the very point at which they are trying to build back better, which is a stupid way of saying make America less capitalistic, make America less free, make America more dependent upon the federal government, who, if the Democrats have their way, will be run by the Democrats permanently. That's why they want to pass this stupid H.R. 1. That's why they're out there in full force going after Joe Manchin. I saw people going after Joe Manchin on Morning Joy, which I got some sound bites from her as well, as we'll touch on a couple of things today. Illegal immigration, what's happening at the border, the surge. AOC says that we shouldn't use that. AOC, that term, surge on the border. That makes it sound militaristic. Did you know that, Oz? You know why? Because surge doesn't mean that they're insurgents. I think this is what AOC thinks. I think she believes that the term surge comes from insurgents in the sense of, like if you use the word surge, there's a surge of people at the border. I'll play the soundbite for you here as the program comes together. But if there's a surge of people at the border, you mean that to reflect the term insurgent. These are people, these are basically like terror when we were in the Middle East, right? And we gained control of a region, and then there were insurgents that were trying to destabilize the region and cause the American forces to lose control and for evil to reign there once again, and for the terrorists to get back in charge. This is what AOC apparently thinks that we mean when we say there's a surge of people, that we're implying that they're insurgents. I'm just telling. I know this doesn't sound believable. I think you do believe that it's believable because you've heard AOC before. I'm just going to play this. But we've got this border crisis. All these things, folks, are related. And it's kind of overwhelming to the senses. We're talking about 3 to 4 trillion with a T. These numbers of this magnitude used to be reserved for things in space, things that were just massive in size and scope and really beyond even our abilities to comprehend in size. We reserved numbers like this to talk about that space and size and just the massive universe in which we find ourselves living. Now we talk about that as how much money we're going to spend on things. So we got that out there. It's just overwhelming your ability to really comprehend, my ability to comprehend and to fight back with this stuff. But we got massive spending on that front. We've got tax increases. We've got a border that's out of control, a border crisis. We got the school district in San Diego that is actually doing in-person teaching for children who have crossed our borders illegally, but they're not yet teaching American students in the classroom. Jen Psaki tried to explain that yesterday at a press conference, and this will shock you. She had a massive swing and a miss. So we've got all these things happening right before our very eyes. We got Biden wanting to build back better, which simply means he wants to make America more of a top-down controlled economy. He wants to reward you for your work, reward you, the government doing that, not rewarding your wealth. And we have a whole, just this H.R. 1, which is tied to that. People losing their minds over what George has done to try to make their elections more secure. People flipping out because they're misrepresenting what's in the law, saying that you can't bring water to someone standing in line. The way that people describe voting, I voted my entire life. And I understand I'm from a smaller community, so it's different. And I've waited in lines before too. But the way they describe voting, they make it sound like at any moment you're just going to die. You are not going to be able to cast your vote. I don't know where they think or under what conditions they think these polling places are, what they're being held in environmentally. Make it sound like you're standing in an oven. And they say, they just misrepresent what the law says. They want you to think that they want people to stand in long lines. They're going to crank up the heat if it's hot out. They're going to turn off the heat if it's cold out to try to freeze out people in line, intimidate them, make them have to do something as extraordinary as prove who they are. There's a novel concept. If you're going to vote, you should be able to, you have to demonstrate that you're legally able to cast a ballot. I don't understand the complexity of that. Even at the state, which Georgia has said they're going to pay for it. But you got this, all these issues are just crashing together. And folks, we are just a couple of months into this. They're talking about how to bypass Republicans again and again and again in the Senate by using reconciliation. They're finding through their own research that reconciliation can apparently be used as many times as they want and for as many issues as they want, even though that's truly not the case. So you have this almost like a massive 50-car pileup on the interstate of issues today facing this United States of America. And some of these issues are incredibly the outcome of these issues is incredibly instrumental in where America finds herself moving forward out of this mess that we find ourselves in. Are we going to permanently rewrite the type of country that we have? But AOC's out there. I told you I'd play this, and I want to play this before the break. She goes to Instagram Live, to share this. I'm looking at a still shot here of the video, but to share this just incredibly wise, incredibly brilliant insight about the surge on the border. Just listen to this. I try to be nice. This is idiotic. Just listen to this. Gut check. Consciously. Come on, AOC. Tell us. It's not? Okay. Wait, who said that? Here we go. That's stupid is what that is. Which, of course, when I said AOC said it, you knew that it had no basis in reality to begin with. But that is, first of all, gut check. I think I'm going to start saying that on the program. Gut check. Gut check, first of all. If anyone consciously uses the word surge, they're setting up a militaristic frame. Oh, these are not insurgents, these are children, she says. Have you ever used the words insurgents? To describe what's happening, we have an influx, we have a surge of people. That is referring to a smaller number becoming a bigger number, AOC. It is an influx. Can I say that? Or is that white supremacist as well? And she's conflating so many issues here. So, on the one hand, we're supposed to believe, AOC, that if we're talking about an influx or an increase in numbers, a surge, if you will, a surge of individuals, whether children, it doesn't. The question at this point, I mean, you have to understand the details to understand how to solve the problem, but right now the border is just overwhelmed because of a surge, an influx, an increase of people. Now, we want a secure border. There are reasons that the border is facing a surge. And if you ask those people who are coming here or their families, they will tell you it's because of Biden's policies. The media has stumbled into this multiple times. They've looked on the wristbands and called the number of the young person, the minor that's there at the border, and the parent tells the person on the phone, the reporter, yeah, we sent them there because of Biden's policies. News reporter totally shocked because Biden's out there saying this is just the way that it is. This is the natural, ebbs and flows of how many people come to our border. This is not what that is. This is an opportunity for people that they believe Biden is going to, with the Democrats, take action on the people that are here illegally and they want to be a part of that. It's as simple as that. But just because you want border security does not mean that your folk they are the ones that are infatuated with skin color, ethnicity, those things. They are the ones that can't stop talking about that. They say that you and I are against it because we don't want people looking different than us because we're white supremacists. Oh my gosh, the stupidity. I decided I am unoffendable. In fact, I put that in my column yesterday, which went out in our email. But I'm unoffendable at this point. But if anything was going to offend me, just looking at me, seeing I'm a white guy, and then just assuming that I'm a white supremacist, that would be up there to me as far as things go that could offend me. This is beyond absurd. And no matter what issue you point to, this is the type of rhetoric and behavior you will find not just from AOC, from most of Democrats in elected positions here in our great nation. And it's they have the power, they have majorities, and they've almost made this a bigger train wreck than what it is otherwise. Anyway, long in this segment. I got other stuff to get to, but we've got really this convergence of all sorts of issues here. And it's exposing the stupidity of Democratic policies for anybody who wants to see it. Anybody who wants to see it. I've got to take a break. We'll continue this after the break. Sit tight. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff, back here in just a minute.
Let's just be clear for everybody who's watching this right now. What Republicans are saying is they're going to make it torture for you to vote in line by having fewer machines, beat up machines at places where, in urban centers, places where black folks live, suburbs where black people live, make it impossible or torture for you to vote in line.
Stop it.
And then they're going to make it impossible for you to vote by mail. They're going to lock off every way that you can vote. And then even if you
it gets better.
all of those restrictions and you finally get your vote in, then they're going to say, ways out. We're just not going to count what you did because we don't like who you voted for, so we're just going to give it to the other guy. This is the end of democracy in America. This is the beginning of the South Africa strategy. This is minority rule. This is saying we will rule over the objections of the majority of the American people. This is the most serious thing that we've seen happen since the January 6th siege. It's another kind of siege.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bizarre. And it is, I won't say it's un-American. It's probably kind of in a way.
It's
old school American. Jim Crow American.
What you just did.
Absolutely out of control. They have lost their minds. What we're seeing happening in the state of New Georgia is so egregious around voting rights.
That's what Black Lives Matter is.
We're seeing the resurgence of those that think.
Then
he also called for the reform of the Senate filibuster, which has been used expertly by Mitch McConnell to kill Democratic legislation since the Obama-Biden years. Biden says the system has been abused, and he warned Republicans that he could back efforts to gut the filibuster, agreeing that it is a relic of the old Jim Crow South.
In the grander scheme of things, it's offensive, it's racist, it's pointless, it's non-productive. These laws aren't just foolish. These laws aren't just racist, but they are destructive to a functional democracy. They're taking power out of the hands of local elected officials. They're making it more difficult for people to even go to drop boxes. So there is no value to this.
This is a death sentence for democracy.
David Plouffe.
If we see laws like this across the country, making it harder to register, getting rid of drop boxes, early votes, but
Death note.
They are taking power away from election officials and giving it to the state legislature. The Senate does not pass before the People Act. We should turn the lights off on this democracy. I mean this seriously. This is the end. This is the beginning of the end.
But we have some Democrats who seem to sort of relish the old Jim Crow
Listen to
days
Dr. Manchin.
that it used to operate. I'm thinking of people like Joe Manchin, who is clinging to the filibuster like a binky and saying he'll never let it go, no matter what.
Nobody cared about Joe Manchin 3 years ago. This is the most popular he's ever been in his entire career. It's the most popular he'll ever be. He is going to milk this as long as he can until they darn near change it to the John Lewis Joe Manchin bill. But when that happens, when everybody is prostrate in front of him and begging him, he will allow some change of the filibuster. He'll get all the attention